Hello everyone, my name is Andrey, today we continue learning IT, and today we'll talk about frontend and backend. What are those, how we can use them, and why do we need them? So let's start with backend, and that's the part of your program that allows you to execute any kind of logic that should not be visible or modifiable by the client itself. So imagine that you have a website, and you need to fill username or email and password text fields on that website in order to register as a user. Once you fill them in, you send them to your servers. So you send them to the backend. And backend checks that your email or username is unique, your password is good enough for that user, so it has 8 digits, for example. And after that, we create a new entry in the database. And then we send some response to the client itself. So basically, all of the logic that is executed on the servers is called backend. We check for the username validity, we check password validity, we add entries to the database, we create files on our servers, we do anything. And all of that logic is called backend. Okay, so what is front-end? Front-end is a part of your program that allows your users to communicate with backend more comfortably. So all of the buttons, all of the text fields, HTML, CSS, web pages, all of that is front-end. Basically, we create some application that shows UI and UX. I don't know the difference, but shows some UI to our users, and users communicate with backend more comfortably. Because if we don't have a frontend, what you basically need to do is write the code yourself that will allow you to, for example, get a user from the database on the backend. Frontend basically communicates with backend and allows our users to easily and comfortably work with our application. That's kind of just it. So why do we need them? In IT, we always split our programs into different layers. There are tons of reasons why do we need to do that, and I will probably create another video for that topic. But when we split our applications into different layers, we first of all can manage our workload more easily. So we can, for example, assign 10 people to work on backend and assign 5 people to work on frontend. That is going to be much easier for us as managers or as some person in a company. Second of all, we can eliminate bugs easier, because if I know that something happened with the backend, not with one big project, so if something happened in one big application, I don't know where to look for that particular bug. But if something happened on the backend side, then I know that some people that are responsible for backend should fix that, and they should not touch frontend at all. Maybe they need to, but separate people need to touch that project. But what I know is that that bug happened on frontend, and I'm not responsible for, or frontend is not responsible for that error. So when we split our applications, it's basically easier to work with them. And nowadays we even split frontend and backend into different microservices. So we split parts of our applications into parts of applications that can be split into different parts, and yeah, all that stuff. So we always trying to split applications into different parts because it's easier to work with them. And frontend and backend follow the same logic. The second reason is security, and maybe that should be the first reason because it's, from my point of view, is the most important one. So if there is some logic that should not be visible or modifiable by the client, you should put it on backend. Why is that? Because backend only allows you to work with a specific set of functions and methods that our programmers wrote. So imagine that you have backend and you have a method called createUser. That method will create a user. But what do we know about that method? It was written by our people. We know the code inside out. We know how we can react to different bugs. We know how we can check for different errors and all that stuff. But if I only allow my frontend to talk directly to the database or execute any code on our servers, what can happen is our database can be just deleted. So imagine that you have a frontend, so some part of your application, your website, that is directly connected to the database. I saw a lot of applications which followed that logic, and it was not a pleasant experience to work with them, because that is a big security problem. If you are directly connected from your frontend to the database of your project, then you can execute any comments, any queries on the database and modify the data as you wish. But if you have a backend that only allows you to work with a specific method and modification of a database is directly tied to the code that our programmers wrote, then the only thing that you can do is either find some vulnerabilities in the code and exploit them, but you don't need to do that. You only need to do that in order to make your program safer. Yeah, it's not a recommendation to do anything. And second of all, we know that our code, so we know that all the queries on the backend were written by our programmers. And the users from the frontend can't really change anything on the database, on the backend, and they can't really change the state of our application. So security is a big part of frontend and backend connection or relation. And the third part is enormous and big projects. So if you have, let's say, 20 people working on your project, it's going to be extremely hard to work with a big pile of code, because 20 people can change a lot of files. And if you ever worked with GitHub or Git or any version control system in your life, then you know that if a lot of people change some files concurrently, then it's going to be a mess for you to synchronize all those files and get the code that you want to get in the production. But if we split our backend and frontend into different parts, then we know that, okay, that team should work on frontend, that team should work on backend. And as I said, nowadays we can even split our frontend and backend into different parts. So backend can have two different parts. For example, users microservice and let's say, I don't know, let's say friends microservice. So we are talking about some kind of social network. We have users here, we have users, and we have friends. And yeah, we can even split backend and frontend into different programs. So it's kind of just easier to work with backend and frontend because our applications are enormous. And if we are going to write everything in one big pile of code, it's going to be really hard to really do anything with that project. So those are kind of the reasons, not all the reasons, but main reasons for you to use backend and frontend. And if you want to start working as a programmer, as a developer, then if you want to write some real logic, talk to databases, work with 10,000 clients a second, they need to go to backend because that's where all the logic is being executed. But if you want to write UI, if you want to just show good designs to users and yeah, do all of that stuff, then go to frontend. Okay, so that is frontend and backend in 2022. If I missed some important points or if I did not include some great ideas about frontend and backend, then please write it down in the comments. I can make another video or you can just share your knowledge with other people. Thank you for watching. My name is Andrey. Subscribe to my channel, leave a like, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.